I think it's information that must be done anyway. And we want informed voters. So we took that to the Charter Review Board, which just happened to be finishing up their business right after the election in 2010. And we got grassroots to go down there and advocate on behalf of this, getting this referendum on the ballot. And just to let the listeners know, there are 3 ways to get referendums on a ballot in Hillsborough County. One through the county commissioners, one through a citizen petition, and one through the Charter Review, which meets every 5 years. So somebody was watching out for us. The Charter Review Board was in place. We got this on the ballot. And it's very, very important that you remember that it's the very last item on the ballot, because we have such a long one. We want to make sure that everybody gets and votes on this particular county referendum, which is the very last item on the ballot.
Sharon, and you are to be commended, because I know you spearheaded this effort, and I know a lot of people attended those meetings and made speeches and did a lot of research into this. It was well done. And tell us again, it's the last item on the ballot, on the 6-page ballot. It's on the last page. Is that correct?
It's on the last page, and it's the only county referendum, so it's after the amendments. And please vote yes, and please get the word out.
Okay.
We just need to make sure that people vote for this, because this gives us transparency, and it allows us to be informed when we vote.
Okay, well, very good. Well, Sharon, I know you're in Ohio visiting your daughter. I hope she has a wonderful birthday, and we'll have you back on the show to talk about more of the issues coming up. And thank you so much for calling in. And
thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Good. Okay, all right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Now I'm going to hand the mic over to Mark, who's going to tell us about our next guest. Mark, take it away.
We have Kimberly Kelly in the studio with us. She grew up in Miami Lakes in South Florida. Her husband, Sean, is here with us today. He's a retired Army sergeant. She's been involved with politics since she was 16, including working on campaigns for Bob Graham, Frank Brogan, Clay Shaw, Jeb Bush, President Bush, and many more. She's currently the vice chair of the Tampa 912 Project, and she's also the head of the Tampa Vote Fair. Kimberly Kelly, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
So why did you get involved in the voter fraud initiative here in Tampa?
There's several reasons why, Mark. And one of the biggest issues is when you walk into a polling place and hand them your voter registration card and they never ask for your ID twice in a row, you figure, who else are they doing this to?
Right.
So that was one of my big questions out there to everybody. Then when you have a family member who moved out of state and continues to get their voter registration sent to them and they're registered in another state, even though they asked to be removed, you start wondering, who else is out there doing this?
I read the St. Pete Times. I read the Tampa Tribune. You know what they say about your efforts?
I do know what they say, and they don't know the facts. And the facts is, you can't call it voter fraud until it's prosecuted. Well, the people who turn it over to be prosecuted are actually the people who are responsible to make sure the rolls are clean. So why would they turn it over when they're the responsible party? This is about a fair, free, legal election.
Right.
That's all this is about. If you don't belong on that roll, you don't belong on that roll. Everybody should go register to vote. To me, that's the greatest thing you can do as a citizen is vote. I want anybody who is capable to vote and should be able to vote based on our U.S. Constitution and our Florida State Constitution. They should register to vote and get out there and vote.
And if anybody wants to get involved with Tampa Vote Fair,
you would contact me at Tampa Vote Fair, all one word, at gmail.com, and I would help get involved. There's plenty of things that we are doing. We are working on many initiatives, and surprisingly enough, we have a mixture of people involved. We have all party affiliations involved. We have Democrats, Independents, Republicans. There are many people out there who do believe this is about fair, legal elections.
Yep. And it's even as close as we are to Election Day, there's still time.
There is still time. We are working every day. We have poll watchers. We're working on legislative issues. We are still working on challenges and many things. And I want to tell people out there that if they don't get involved and if they're not looking and watching, that is the greatest mistake you're making,
Right.
no matter what they're saying.
Give us the contact information again.
TampaVoteFair@gmail.com.
Excellent. Kimberly, thank you so much. Many of us here know all of the good work that you're doing and the hard work that you're doing. And contrary to what the dumbstream media says, there is a just massive voter fraud. There are, in fact, reports coming out now. So thank you so much for what you're doing. We appreciate it greatly. Next, we're going to go back to Karen because we have another guest. And, of course, the whole idea here is to talk about issues that are going to affect you all that are listening to us today. And they're going to have an immediate impact on you. So, Karen, if you would, please introduce our next guest.
Well, thank you. In studio today, we have Barb Haselden. She is a successful small business owner of Hometown Insurance, been in business since 1989, and they specialize in long-term care. She's also leader of the South Pinellas 912 and the Tampa Bay Field Director for 60 Plus. Barb, thank you, and welcome for being welcome. Now, Barb, you've got an interesting issue brewing in Pinellas County, and it has to do with your Hillsborough County Commissioners and their term limits.
No, it actually has to do with the Pinellas County Commissioners.
I'm sorry. I've got Hillsborough on the brain, sorry.
Yes, you do, and we're sitting in Hillsborough. Let me just start by saying that I'm just so thrilled to that you asked us to be a part of the first show, and we've been through so much together over these 4 years, all of us, and we're such good friends, and congratulations on this show. We're just all of us so happy about the progress that we made in Pinellas County. Karen, earlier Sharon was talking about the citizen initiative process, and in 1996, this is such an outrageous story; it just almost takes your breath away. In Pinellas County, in 1996, there was a referendum on the ballot. The name of it was 8 is Enough. And it was 8 years is enough for the county commissioners. It was a term limit referendum.
Right.
And that's back when I was pretty much shopping at Macy's, right? I do remember voting for this on this referendum, but as the rest of us just really got more involved in the last 4 years. But what we had is that this, by 72.3% of the voters in Pinellas County voted yes to say that 8 years was enough for a county commissioner to serve in Pinellas County.
Wow, that's a huge margin.
Almost 73%. And it should have been entered into the county charter. We are a charter county over in Pinellas, but it was not. It was never entered. It should have been entered January 1st, 1997. The Pinellas County Commission term limits were never struck down by any court at any level. And in fact, on the contrary, county commission term limits were upheld in a local court hearing in 2000, and the Pinellas County Commission, through a motion made and passed on May 30th, 2000, chose to accept those court findings and not to appeal the decision. However, once again, that was never entered into the county charter. Imagine that.
Wow. After 72% of the people voted for it.
So this is 16 years ago. However, in May of this past year, it's been all through the courts. It finally ended up the Florida Supreme Court, and it was unanimously affirmed by the Florida Supreme Court that it is constitutional to have 8 years as a term limit as passed by the voters. It only took 16 years for this to happen.
Well, let me ask you this. Does it impact has anybody been over the 8 years?
Oh, yeah. We have 4 county commissioners in Pinellas County that are
so they stepped
being
down.
impacted by. Oh, yeah, they've stepped. They just voluntarily said, "Oh, gee, let's just step down." Actually,
let's just abide by the law.
Let's just abide by the law. The ramifications of this are pretty huge. Now, what's happened in the meantime? This is like a soap opera. A Pinellas County patriot, citizen Patrick Wheeler, with co-plaintiffs Beverly Billeris and Maria Scruggs, brought a lawsuit about 3 months ago after the Florida Supreme Court ruling, requesting that they wanted what's known as an accelerated judgment going to the court. And in other words, does the Florida Supreme Court ruling apply on Pinellas County? Now, there's 11 counties that were involved. All 10 other counties are now in compliance.
Amazing.
Pinellas County is the only county in the state of Florida that has passed this referendum by the voters and has not complied.
That's incredible.
So we have now a citizen lawsuit, and the suit is asked for forced compliance with the referendum that was passed 16 years ago, and the next hearing is Tuesday.
Well,
the 16th.
What can people do? How can we get involved and make a difference in this issue?
Thank you, because the next thing that people can do, and I really, really ask people to do this, is to write to the judge on this case, and I'll give the name and number. Perhaps you might want to wait till after the break for me to do that, or I can do it now.
Well, we'll get it posted on our Facebook site as well.
If I can run through this, the Honorable John A. Schaefer, Judge of the Circuit Court at 315 Court Street, Clearwater, Florida. And this is the County Commission term limits case. And if you can write to Judge Schaefer and ask him to comply with the referendum, which 73% of the Pinellas voters passed, 8 years for the 8 is enough term limit, and to please enforce the will of the voter and stop this voter suppression.
Well, thank you, Barb, for all that information. This is really a weighty matter, and we would love to have you come back at a later date and update us and keep us posted on what we can do to make a difference here in the Tampa Bay area. Thank you for coming and visiting us.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kimberly, Barb, thanks so much for being here. And folks, besides the guests that we have in studio from time to time, we're planning on 3 regular segments, and we'll tell you more about those later on. But the title of those segments, I'm going to try to get through them here, is Yes, I Did Build That, letters to the editors that they refused to publish. And also, we're going to try to end every show with a Founding Father's Favorite Phrase segment. And we'll talk more about those as the show goes on. Right now, we're going to catch up on some sports, news, and weather. And when we get back, we'll pick up right where we left off. And we have one more guest to bring to you, so stay right where you are. Thanks for joining us. This is KMT Radio. All right.
Talk Radio 860 WGUL. Welcome back to KMT Radio with Karen, Mark, and Tim. To get in on the conversation, call now in Hillsboro 289-1860 or toll free at 877-969-8600. Now, back to KMT Radio on Tampa Bay's conservative talk station, 860 WGUL.
All right, we're back, and welcome back, everyone. Listen, remember that you are welcome to enter the arena of ideas. We just simply ask that you come prepared, armed with the facts, and ready to deal with the truth. Please call us at 813-289-1860 and nationwide at 877-969-8600. We've had several folks come in and visit with us today. Again, it's such a great encouragement. This is our maiden voyage, and we're trying to get it right. We're trying to do it right. But more importantly, what we want to make sure is that we have the right message and that we stay within the ideas and the constraints of the Constitution. That's what Tampa 912 is about. It's what the Tea Party is about. And all we've ever asked is that folks operate within the bounds of locally a county charter that Sharon talked about. Certainly, as Barb Haselden pointed out, the referendum that was passed by the citizens there. And so we want folks to operate by the rules. That's all we've ever asked for. And our next guest, who does that same thing, is a tireless and a fearless warrior in the fight for liberty and freedom. And she's currently involved in a very, very important effort in Pasco County. Bonnie Dickinson serves on the steering committee of the Tampa 912 Project